Hi, everybody. This is Christian-basel with Mark-Who42, and we just want to take the time to thank everybody who's contributed to our show to ensure that we continue to bring you the latest news, reviews, and interviews throughout the Whoniverse and beyond, like our friends at Audible.com. Right now, you can actually go there and get a free 30-day trial and a free download. Just simply go to audibletrial.com/Mark-Who42 and sign up, and that's all you have to do. And if you'd like to contribute directly to the show, go to www.markwho42.net and hit the donate button on the far right-hand side. Contribute whatever you can give us so that we can bring you this show. Thank you again for everybody who contributes, and thank you for listening.
Hi there, this is Sophie Aldred, who played Ace in Doctor Who, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome to Mark Who 42. That's right, Mark Who 42, the Doctor Who online radio show. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten. With me, as always, are
Patricia-Helm
and Eduardo-m-Freyre, and I can safely say I have never bombed as badly as Fantastic Four.
You know what? I think Howard the Duck was a better movie, and I'm just saying that.
Ow!
Who else do we have?
This is Christian-basel, and I just survived Strangeness-in-Space!
Strangeness-in-Space, yeah.
Just premiered a while back,
and we actually have a special thing we'll tell you in just a second. Who else do we have?
Hi, everybody. Patty-Hawkins here. I haven't seen any movies this weekend. I thought I'd take it quiet and casual.
So, Strangeness-in-Space is a audio comedy. It's just come out on iTunes, the first episode. It was done by a crowdfunding campaign to get made, and it stars Sophie Aldred. Now, of course, you know Sophie Aldred was Ace on Doctor Who. Well, on this show, we actually have an interview with Sophie Aldred, so that is going to be great. But first, I think I hear a doctor calling.
I tried keeping a diary once. The only trouble with time travel is I never seem to have the time. And talking of time, it's now time to go to the Whoniverse and beyond with Mark Who 42 news correspondent Patricia-Helm. Well, to miss her, you simply wouldn't be cricket.
Right. Well, a while back we talked about the Churchill Years box set, the audio from Big Finish that's coming out.
Yeah.
And we actually have some more details on that, and something kind of interesting in the fourth episode.
Oh.
The fourth episode, they're bringing back Lily Arwell. She plays the daughter in The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. Oh. And she is going to be a nurse that's working for Winston Churchill.
Oh, wow. So the character is going to be in it. Wow.
Yes.
That fits. It was World War II. It does fit.
Now, by nurse, are we talking, is she going to be an actual nurse, or is she just going to be handing Winston Churchill drinks the entire time? Nurse, I need a nightcap.
Well, Ian McNeice would probably enjoy that.
Yes, this is my medicine. This cognac is my medicine.
Now, there's also some talk about the first episode of the series because it's supposed to feature the Ninth Doctor. And I doubt that Chris Eccleston is going to be coming back to do the Ninth Doctor, so I'm assuming that they're going to have someone else.
Well, from what I understand, the Churchill years, each episode is going to focus on his meeting up with one of the doctors, an adventure that he had. But I don't think the doctors are actually in it. I think the second story takes place in the David Tennant timeline, but as far as I know, David Tennant's not doing it. I think they're doing it like that. That's what I've heard.
Well, in the third story, it actually says, Churchill joins the 11th Doctor.
Right, but it may be in the narration, because it is supposed to be his diaries.
Yeah, I must say, if this is a variant of his Downing Street years diaries and stuff like that,
yes,
it's going to be that actor. It's going to be interesting because it'll be the actor as Churchill possibly doing an impersonation of the various doctors.
Yeah. They won't actually be in it. They won't actually be in it.
And Big Finish also teased that there could be a new series with a character. They said a significant recurring character from the 21st century.
Oh, I want my Tom to tell me where I am. Thomas.
Jeez. Lame.
Okay. Okay.
File, Mark, file.
No, Dan Starkey is going to be on Big Finish. I mean, he's done Big Finish's Suntarns, but he's going to play Strax with Jago and Lightfoot as, like, I guess, a pilot, and then he may get his own series. That would be cool.
Yes, that was actually my next story.
Yeah, I think
there.
that's great. I would totally buy
So-
Strax audio.
What happens is that it says that Strax suffers a disorienting attack, and he mistakes Jago and Lightfoot for Jenny and Vostra. Because he can't tell the
I can make that
difference.
Yeah.
And so he moves into Lightfoot's home, and they're trying to find. There's apparently some creature out there that is stealing brains.
Well, it's about time we had some kind of crossover between Jago and Lightfoot and the lesbian lizard Lady of London and her group. So, yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
It's kind of ironic that this news should come out now because Trish and I just finished watching Talons of Wing-Chiang.
So how racist did you think that episode was?
Oh, I wouldn't say racist. I would say stereotypical,
Okay.
because you have to remember the time period in which it was made.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the episode of the death, but it's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I'm like, first I wondered, is that guy even Asian at all? And I looked it up and I saw his name. I'm like, nope.
Not at all.
John Bennett? Yeah,
Well, think about it. Celestial Toy Maker was supposed to be Asian, and it was played by Michael Gough. He's not Asian, so...
But did you ever hear the story behind the pile of hay that just shows up out of nowhere during the...
Yeah. The guy's car, there was a car that was in the street.
It was like a Porsche.
Yeah,
It was like
a Porsche, yeah.
The bird has flown the coop. One of us is yellow.
Yeah, that's...
The actual quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go to join my ancestors.
But you know what? Tom Baker's Doctor actually has a line in the episode that kind of makes it all right. He points out the fact that this is how they were.
There's a scene where Lightfoot is talking about fireworks at the funeral, odd custom, odd people, and then the Doctor kind of sternly corrects him, basically saying, "Look at the fireworks that scare away bad spirits and whatever." And yeah, the Doctor goes up to the guy interrogation. I mean, the Doctor is above the Victorian stereotypes.
Yeah.
So, now easy, miss. He's a Chinese. It's not he's Chinese. He's a Chinese.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you look at it. If you truly look at it, then you understand that it's easy to interpret it as like old-fashioned yellow peril stuff. But if you actually look at it between the lines, it's a fairly accurate representation from the Victorian characters.
Yeah.
And by the same token, the Doctor, as a modern character, kind of scolds them at times for that attitude.
Right.
And Leela, of course, is neutral. She just doesn't care about anything. She just wants to torture everybody.
Yeah.
You're listening to Mark Who 42's Doctor Who News here on Krypton Radio. It's not funny, it's the truth.
The politically correct version.
So what else do we have in the news, Trish?
Well, do any of you have an extra 4,000 to 6,000 British pounds available?
Yeah, your next...
Not on my
paycheck's
salary.
not coming.
You might count.
That's like, what, about $8,000 American?
What can I buy for $7,000?
Christian, he's trying to use our salaries to buy again.
I am.
What else is new?
Well, I am going to be in that Colin
Delete.
Baker video because I paid that $100,000.
We're never going to get paid.
You feel better about
What can
yourself.
I pay for $7,000, Trish?
Well, the Prop Store Entertainment Memorabilia Company, they're having a live auction in London. And one of the things that's up for auction is a Dalek.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a prop from An Adventure in Space and Time.
Ooh.
So it was made, off of the original Dalek.
So when is this going to be?
It is going to be the 23rd of September. And also they're going to have a script from Adventure in Space and Time. And those are the two Doctor Who things, but they're going to have some other sci-fi stuff. There's going to be a Spock costume from Star Trek, Stormtrooper helmet from Star Wars, Christopher Reeve's Superman tunic,
Oh, wow.
and some of the least expensive things that are going to be there is going to be like a helmet worn by one of the Knights of the Round Table from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Okay, that's what I'm buying. Get the rest of it.
No.
Get the rest of it. That's what I'm
expensive.
buying.
Hey, if you're buying that as a late birthday gift for Trish and I.
That's only going to be 200 to 300 pounds.
Better
And the
get
other one is a lot of quad posters from Blade Runner. So if you have some extra cash you want to spend, Go to London.
So
Yeah.
no, it's online. So do you have the URL? Do you know where we can go to actually bid?
I don't think it's online. It's a live auction.
The live auction.
Live auctions, you can still bid online.
Yeah.
There's one slight problem, though. Yeah, one slight problem, though. I mean, I'm willing to drop $8,000 for original Dalek, but I'm not willing to drop $8,000 plus another $3,000 in shipping and handling.
That's right. You'll have to keep it in England. You'll have to put it in your summer home, Patrick.
I think the podcast has enough friends now across the pond that we can be like, hey, can we store this in your garage till we can get it overseas?
Yeah. Hey, you know where else we have a lot of fans? Slovakia. Does anyone even know where Slovakia is? We have a lot of listeners in Slovakia, and welcome to the show, by the way. I guess that's in the Soviet bloc, Slovakia?
Might be former Soviet bloc.
North of Hungary, Budapest, not too far away from Vienna, actually, and just a little off the side of the Czech Republic.
Wow.
Okay.
Cool. So, welcome, Slovakians. I'm glad you love Doctor Who as much as we do. Trish?
All right, so let's go over and talk about Series 9.
Let's give a special shout-out to Slovakia!
Now, did you guys all see that promo image that was released?
Yes, I did.
And there was a lot of discussion going on about that online, about everybody analyzing the heck out of it.
Well, describe the picture to everyone who may have not seen it.
Well, it's a picture of the Doctor and Clara running away from what appears to be an explosion of some kind. And they're obviously on some alien planet. And there's like an image of either a moon or another planet in the sky. There's debris flying everywhere on fire. They're both running. Doctor is wearing his black coat, but he has on the second Doctor trousers.
Right.
The plaid ones, and his hoodie and his holy t-shirt. And Claire is wearing, it's kind of plaid.
Well, we don't need to know what they're wearing.
Dress. Well,
the clothes.
You said to describe it.
Yeah, I did.
Her dress looks kind of 60s, 70s to me. And she's looking at the Doctor kind of like with this look. Some people are saying it looks like adoration. Some people are saying she looks smug, like she got the Doctor to do something that he didn't really want to do. I don't know. There's just tons of different takes on what this picture is. Like some people say that one of the flying bits of debris looks like a Dalek that's on fire. And some people are saying that this is on Skaro. Some people are saying that it looks like a volcano erupting behind him, so they're saying that it's, Pompeii. Some people are saying the planet or moon in the sky is Gallifrey. What do you guys think?
Going off of that last statement, where are they getting that it could be Gallifrey? Because when I look at that image, it just looks like this dark globe in the sky. I mean, from what I remember of when we see Gallifrey, the planet, it doesn't look that black in the sky. That seems like just a wild guess.
Anybody else have any thoughts?
Nope.
That's just one of those things where I think fans are reaching too hard to figure out, there's one little thing here, it could be this. No, it looks like this. Come on, guys. We can argue about that, or we can just wait for the damn episode. And I vote for the.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for the.
I know
episode.
we're a discussion show, and we love to postulate, but that's a little too autistic.
Well, if there's anything that I do notice though, is that the poster. Yeah, we've got an explosion in the background. We've got the thing flying, exploding. We've got the planet, but this is pretty sparsely populated as far as a promotional poster is concerned. I think back to Time of the Doctor, where there was just a ton of stuff going on in that one. We just had a ton of things that we could pick through. But this has, other than the Doctor and Clara, 3 things that we can look at and speculate.
All right, so moving on. Actor and comedian Reese Shearsmith, he's been cast as a guest in a special episode of Doctor Who. That's what's actually said, a special episode that's written by Mark Gatiss.
So it's not a regular episode?
Well, I think it's a regular episode. I know it's in here. It's got to be in there.
Oh, I see. It's one of those, after-school specials. In the special episode of Strokes, Nancy Reagan comes by and tells you not to do drugs. Yeah, okay, I see what you're talking about. Special episode. Gotcha.
Don't laugh. When I was 10 years old and I saw that episode, I flushed all my cocaine down the toilet. You know what? Miss Reagan is right.
Just say no.
It's a life changer for you, Patrick.
And it was. That was a quarter of a key. I mean, at 10 years old, I had to save a lot from that.
Yeah.
And that was 1980 money.
Is it going to end with the musical chime from NBC's The More You Know?
And for saying that, you're special.
You know, if there's a special episode, that means there's non-special episodes, and those are the episodes I want to see on Doctor Who.
The non-special episodes may not be worth reviewing. Me only want to review the special episodes.
What was the drug in the Baker episode where, like, the big giant monsters were made of?
Thraxoin.
Thraxoin, yes.
Yeah.
Stay away from Thraxoin.
From Nightmare and Enid.
Yes, that's what it was, yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear what Reese has to say about being cast?
I would love to know what Reese... Because isn't Reese the guy who was in Adventures of Space and Time as the second Doctor?
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. Tell me what he has to say.
So he said, I'm absolutely thrilled to be filming Doctor Who as Mark Gatiss has written a fantastic role for me in a very scary episode. It has been so exciting to be part of a very singular episode, which I can say with authority will be unlike any previous episode of Doctor Who. It's a joy to play a part in the show, certainly a badge of honor.
Yeah, I think the episode is called The Two Doctors Redux, and he plays Patrick Troughton.
I was about to say, I think there was something going around the internet just on speculation that they have a guy that played the second Doctor, and Capaldi's wearing the second Doctor's pants.
Thank you.
Could those two have anything to do with each other? And then I'm like, why has he got his pants?
Now, Mark Gatiss, he also says that this story has been brewing in the dark recesses of my mind for a while now.
Troughton's pants?
Oh.
But,
Corner, Christian, corner.
But to kind of tie this all together, okay, now there was also, I don't know if you guys heard this, but Russell T Davies and David Tennant were both in Cardiff.
Yeah, I found out about that.
So the only reason for them to be in Cardiff at the same time would be Doctor Who. So now there's a lot of speculation, of course, going on about why they were there. And one popular one is talking about Capaldi's previous appearance in the Fires of Pompeii. And, you know, they're saying that they were going to revisit it sometime in the series. So some were saying maybe they were filming a mini-sode with the 10th Doctor to celebrate the 10th anniversary with Russell T was writing it, or it could be a mini-sode of David Tennant playing a normal person on Earth who bumps into the 12th Doctor.
That would be awesome.
That would be funny.
Which, you know,
that would be funny.
That's how that brings the face theory together, you know? Yeah. And maybe they're doing a documentary for the 10th anniversary. Yeah. Or maybe it doesn't have anything to do with Doctor Who.
Maybe it doesn't.
But
maybe it's another episode of Cucumber.
Now, this comes directly from the website.
It's funny because it could be true.
It could be true.
So this comes directly from the website Warped Factor. Remember Steven-Moffat said this. He said, I figured out the cliffhanger to the penultimate episode of Series 9, and it's a whopper. Oh, I don't think you'll see this coming. Okay. So now they're saying that they have talked with a source that was actually on set when they were filming this stuff. Allegedly, what we're not going to see coming, according to what Moffat said, is a degeneration scene, a flashback through the previous Doctors. Now they're saying that most of it probably would be done with, you know, quick cuts via like CGI, but they've been told that it will include extended stop-offs with certain Doctors. So they're saying David Tennant's one. Now the other one...
which might be why he's there.
But now the other one is Paul McGann. Apparently Paul McGann was there, and he already filmed his scenes. But now they're also saying that maybe Reese Shearsmith could possibly be reprising his role as the second Doctor for this.
And maybe we can get David Bradley to come in as William.
I'm beginning to wonder maybe if Moffat isn't starting to look at McGann a little bit. I keep getting this feeling because it seems like with Night of the Doctor and everything else, I keep thinking that Moffat may be looking at him like, you know what, here's some interesting clay that no one's really put their claim into yet. And I don't know. I still keep thinking McGann looks great. There's no reason why we still can't have some filmed adventures. And let's face it, who out there wouldn't love to see a 4-episode miniseries, just something to the effect of a lost 8th Doctor adventure?
I mean, they're doing that comic book now, the 8th Doctor miniseries.
Tell me if I'm wrong here, Patty. I'm beginning to think with the comic books, with Night of the Doctor, with the big finish now with River Song, I'm beginning to think to see if there is an audience enough out there for the potential financially to put him on and give him the time that he should have had, at least from beginning to end.
I think in wrestling terms, he's getting a slow push. I think maybe a year and a half from now, maybe we might see some major project revisiting him.
You know, maybe when Peter leaves, Paul McGann will show up again as the new Doctor.
I'll tell you something. I have legitimately always felt that at the end of a regeneration, it could pop on up, look at his hands, look at himself, and it'd be McGann and be all like, I'm back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be great. Like, I would be for that. I would be for that. So whoever the next showrunner is, because I think that Steven will leave when Peter leaves, whoever the next showrunner is, bring back Paul McGann.
Well, remember what Tom Baker, the curator, said in the 50th about revisiting faces.
Yes.
So that could totally...
So Moffat set it up.
He set it up.
Of course, mind you, remember that something newer fans have kind of been poked fun at is the idea that, oh, he can just go back and be Matt Smith again or be David Tennant again. That was something that I know was circling around when a lot of people were shocked at the older Peter Capaldi. So, I mean, do we really want to uncork the genie from this bottle?
One, it's already out, and two, they could kind of bitch all they want to about it, but it's not going to happen. Just because it can happen doesn't mean that it will, you know? You're always going to see people saying, well, why can't this just come back? Because that actor's busy doing other things, you know, he's moved on, whatever, you know? It's the same thing right now with every, you know, now that Bloom County, the comic strip is back, it's awesome, but every third, like, comment in the thread is always, so when's Calvin and Hobbes coming back? It's just like, well, you idiots need to let that go.
Oh.
Or this could be completely nothing. It just happens to be the ships have sailed in the right directions for the wrong reasons that we're making up. And they just happen to be in that area or something like that. But it's always nice to think about it.
It's a show about time travel. Anything is possible.
Exactly.
Anything.
All right, and finally, the rumor that came out that I hope is not true.
Oh, yeah.
The rumor that there will not be a full series of Doctor Who in 2016.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we've had that before when David Tennant did the movies before he left, and now it may happen. He has to work on Sherlock at some point, Mr. Moffat.
Yes, he does.
He has to work on Sherlock. And the BBC wants him to put all his efforts towards putting out the newest season of Sherlock, which, as we reported last time, won't be until 2017. So it makes sense that he's filming in 2016. He's filming Sherlock.
Now they're saying that, you know, that we could have like what we had with that David Tennant
right. That's what I'm
where
saying.
we had the specials.
Have that.
And also, you know, I mean, that was also when they were preparing for Russell T Davies and David Tennant to leave. So they're saying maybe this is also when Moffat's going to leave.
Well,
it's actually funny because I read somewhere on one of the blogospheres that this was actually a rumor put together by the Sherlock fans just to make the Doctor Who fans feel bad about having a series that just keeps going. They're like, no, you guys suffer this one out. So you get 1 year, and I just say, you know what, we had about 16 years. So
the only thing about this rumor is, number one, season 9 hasn't even hit yet. So isn't it a little premature?
Well, but that's how they did it last time. They announced it that early. While they were making season 4, they said, we're not doing a series next year. They announced it the same way.
Okay, all right, but...
And actually, think about it. Season 4, right before season 5, now we're at season 9, right before season 10. It's the right time.
Okay, but Mark, this is the thing, though. When season 4 came on and then we had the break with just the specials, Doctor Who had not reached the worldwide status that it has now.
True.
If you are someone in the powers that be at BBC, do you really want to take this risk? Would you want to risk
the problem of the matter is that Sherlock is also insanely popular worldwide.
Okay.
He's got to do it, and if he can only actually handle one at a time, he's going to handle one at a time. They may have to get another showrunner, which, like Trish said at the end of the specials, maybe there will be a new showrunner. I kind of like to think that's how.
And there's also the whole thing with the BBC, the financial aspect they're going through too. You know, they're
going through a lot of
problems with that.
And BBC might be scared that after Doctor Strange they're going to lose Cumberbatch for good. So it could be a deal of we got to squeeze as much Sherlock as we can out of him before, you know, he becomes master of the mystic arts. Because he's at least signed to a 6-picture agreement with Marvel Studios.
So he'll be in Civil War, probably.
No.
Doctor Strange will not.
I thought Doctor Strange was
No. Doctor Strange is they're about ready to start filming right now. It's going to start off on its own. Now, there's a possibility he might have the bumper at the ends of Civil War. He might have the stinger there. I doubt it, but that is a possibility. But yeah, for the most part, no, he won't be. Spider-Man will be in Civil War, but Doctor Strange is going to start up separately. he is going to dovetail into the Avengers after the Infinity War.
Gotcha.
Because they're prepping it. Basically, Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange, and Black Panther and Ms. Marvel are being groomed to be the new triumvirate for phases 5 through 8.
Wow.
Well, it's funny you should mention Black Panther because he is confirmed for Civil War. Patrick's probably right. If Doctor Strange shows up in Civil War, it'll be a little after-credits scene to be like, hey kids, look what's coming next. Or they may just do it more Avengers-themed, since Doctor Strange kind of has his own little slice of the Marvel pie to play in. Something that I brought up last time is, you said, Patrick, Doctor Strange is about to start filming, like, any day now?
Yeah, I believe this fall they're scheduled to actually start filming.
Okay, well, until they start filming, we don't know when they're going to film, we don't know how long it'll take, so we don't know when Benedict Cumberbatch will be reporting to set. The other thing is how much of the new season of Sherlock has been written, because if it hasn't been written...
I don't think it's been written
okay,
yet.
If it hasn't...
I think they said that it hasn't even been started.
If it hasn't even started yet, that means they still have to churn out the scripts. So they need at least 1 or 2 before they start shooting. The other thing is Sherlock is coming back in 2017. Do we know when in 2017?
No,
so
we don't.
it could be late 2017, which gives a nice big window to shoot. So I think it's a little premature to start panicking now. Let's see what develops. And who knows? Moffat may not even say, okay, no Series 10. He may just say, well, I'm going to have to pass the baton off. Gatiss, here you go.
Right.
Gaiman, here you go. Whoever, here you go. You're now in charge of Doctor Who. I got to deal with Sherlock.
Trish, do we have any more news?
Not unless you want to talk about Fantastic Four.
No, I don't. No, we were. No, I don't want to talk about it.
Ooh, ouch.
But I do want to do a segue here. So let me do my segue. We were talking about Doctor Strange just a second ago, and coming up after the break is the star of Strangeness-in-Space, Sophie Aldred. So we'll be right back here on Christian Radio with Sophie Aldred, my girlfriend Ace. We will be back.
Somebody get out the rubber bands because that was a stretch.
Wow, nice.
It worked.
There, Mark, trying to.
I didn't say it didn't work, but that was a stretch.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
We'll be right back.
By the power of Grayskull, I command the jaw bridge. Open!
The Powers of Grayskull series will cover every episode of all 4 Masters of the Universe cartoons. Join Optimus Solo and myself, TF2 and Mike, as we tell tales of Eternia, discover the myths of Etheria, become Masters in Space, and finally Masters of Grayskull. We'll have a commentary on the Secret of the Sword film, and a few other special episodes. You can find this 125-episode-long podcast in iTunes and on the web at geekcastradio.com. By the power and honor of Grayskull, we all have the power.
Yeah, I hope I didn't miss anything exciting.
Now for a behind-the-scenes look at Geekcast Radio Network's newest show, Talking in Circles.
That was good. So, Chuck, Greg, what are you guys thinking for this week's show?
Well, Dan, how about we just talk about the things that we've read or watched this week?
We do reviews like that every week, Chuck. How about a game like Fact or Fiction or The Power of Names?
Those are great, and we're always coming up with new ideas for games. And how about some top 5s? You know how I love my top 5s.
What about tournament-style brackets, or sequel, reboot, and destroy? Who will win in a fight? Taking too far? Crazy but true news? Or
yes, it appears we have lots of things to work on.
Listen to Talking in Circles, taking timeless topics in new directions. Every Tuesday on iTunes or geekcastradio.com, the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hey, Dan, who's the guy with the creepy voice?
Hello, this is Sylvester McCoy, Doctor Who number 7. On Mark Who 42. What on earth is that? I've no idea, really. All these numbers.
Welcome back to Mark Who 42 on Krypton Radio. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten. We've got Eduardo-m-Freyre and Christian-basel with us, and our special guest. And this is really a very special guest to me because when I was a teenager / young adult, I had a crush on her. She is Sophie Aldred, who played Ace on Doctor Who. Hi, Sophie.
Hello there.
Hi.
Oh.
I'm very excited.
Arguably, Mark still has the crush on you to this day. So.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, thank you. I was going to say, yeah, you see, all these people say I used to have a crush on you.
No, I still do.
What happened to that?
I still do. I still do.
How marvelous.
So, Sophie, can you tell us a little about yourself for the people who may or may not know you?
Okay, right. So my name's Sophie Aldred, and I'm from England. You might have guessed by my accent. And let's see. Well, I grew up wanting to be an actress. More than wanting, I kind of was born to be an actress. And I don't know where that came from, because nobody in my family had a theatrical background. But I used to love doing plays, and I did a lot of things at school. And then I went to Manchester University to take drama, which was actually a very unknown course in those days. There were only 5 universities in the whole of the UK who offered a drama course. So I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. And then when I left university, I did many sort of jobs in children's theatre, in musicals, in theatre, in all sorts of stuff. And then I got myself an agent, and my agent put me up for 3 episodes of Doctor Who.
Right.
Now, Doctor Who is something that every child in the UK grew up with. I mean, I know some of you guys did in America with the wonderful PBS stations that were showing it in the 70s and 80s. But really...
I also have to thank my nanny for keeping the TV on when Doctor Who came on. It's like they turned it on for Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers, and then kept it on when Doctor Who came on.
Oh, brilliant. What good taste your nanny had. So really, it was one of those things where I went up for Doctor Who knowing the sort of cultural background of Doctor Who and not thinking for a minute that I was going to get the part, because I'd never even been in a TV studio, let alone been in front of a TV camera. And to my great surprise, I not only got the part for 3 episodes, but they also gave me the part of being Doctor Who's assistant Ace to Doctor Who number 7, who was, he still is Sylvester McCoy, actually.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
You got the part of Ace in Dragonfire. Now, I heard that there was an actress that was in the show before, Delta and Bannerman, who was also up for companion, and you were both there. What was the thing that pushed you ahead? What got you the part?
Well, I think all that season, John Nathan Turner, who is a very wise producer of Doctor Who, he'd been kind of scouting around because he kind of felt that, he knew that Bonnie wouldn't want to stay for that long. And so he'd been kind of trying people out. And there was another story called Paradise Towers, which had some young women in it as well. The Kangs, that's it. So there was the Kangs, and then there was Sarah Griffiths, who played Ray in Delta and the Bannermen, and there was Ace. And really, I think that they auditioned us all. I mean, I auditioned for Ray. Basically, I think it was a sort of cross-casting thing, because I got the audition because they were looking for somebody who looks younger than they really are and who could ride a motorbike. And obviously that says more Delta and the Bannermen than Dragonfire. And I just think that they thought that Sarah was more suited to that role and I was more suited to the role of Ace. And I went into it kind of with this vague understanding that I might be taking over as the assistant. And I don't know, I guess partly the character herself was so brilliantly written by Ian Briggs. I think everybody had sort of fallen in love with the character.
Me included.
Oh,
still is.
Me included.
Yeah, add me to that. Add me to that mix too.
Thank you. Well, me too. I mean, as soon as I read this bit of script in the audition, which actually to the side of it, they Tippexed out Ace and they'd put Ray onto it, but it was actually a speech from Dragonfire where Ace is sort of having a bit of a breather with Mel, the companion, and she talks about her background a bit and she says, I looked up through the gaps in the stars and I wondered who my mum and dad really were, because she's got issues with her parents. And I don't know, although I haven't had issues with my parents, there was something about the part, something about this character that just immediately clicked with me, and I thought, I could really do this character justice. And then as soon as we got into rehearsals, I don't know, I clicked with Sylvester really quickly. I mean, we share the same birthday.
Yes, you do.
We share the same kind of background in a way, in terms of neither of us were trained particularly. We both shared the same sort of political views. I don't know. He says I'm the only person who laughed at his jokes, so that's why I got the part. It was a combination of things, I think. And then by the time we came to the first day of studio and John could actually see whether I could act in front of a camera or not, by the end of that day, he came down the stairs and said, well, we're on if you're on. And I took that to mean, here we go, this is it, which was amazing, really just a fairy tale story, really.
I just have a little bit of an ego here because I think you and Sylvester and Anthony Ainley all share the same birthday, August 20th, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Because that's also my birthday as well.
Oh,
it is.
So our Leos have got to stick together.
Yeah, and it's also my mum's birthday. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. And an auspicious day for Doctor Who.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Yeah, exactly.
Sophie, right after you got the part of Ace and you had started working on set, there was this convention that you went to. Can you tell us the story about how you were announced as the new companion?
I just finished recording my first story, Dragonfire, and the cat was not out of the bag, so none of the fans and none of the public knew. And I guess John must have arranged with the Doctor Who Appreciation Society that I was to be announced there. And I was rung up by some nice person from the Doctor Who Appreciation Society that I didn't even know existed. And they said, come to Imperial College on this day at this time. So I wandered along in my jeans and t-shirt, not knowing what to expect, was shown into the green room, and there, sitting in the corner for a start off, was my childhood hero, John Pertwee, who'd been my doctor, sitting with Nick Courtney, John Levine and Richard Franklin. There was my childhood sitting in that corner.
Wow.
So I was really like, whoo, overwhelmed. They showed me into the auditorium and I looked down on this couple of people. It was Colin Baker and Nicola Bryant. And I looked at Nicola and I thought, oh dear, I really should have washed my hair, because she was looking as gorgeous as she always does. Her hair was sleek and shiny and perfect. She was wearing this beautiful sort of well-cut suit. And there was I with my hair all over the place in a pair of jeans and a T-shirt. Anyway, somebody from DWAS said, right, we're going to announce you, but we're going to have some fun. So when I announce the winner of this raffle, pretend that you've got the winning ticket. So I waited till the panel had finished. And then the announcer came on stage and he said, ladies and gentlemen, we have a surprise gift for you. We have an auction. And if you look on your tickets, please, you will see a certain number. And have a look at the number. And the winning prize is a visit to the set of Doctor Who. So everybody scrambles for their tickets, gets them out, looks at the numbers, and he reads out a number, which is a pretend number. And I go, oh, it's me. And I run down the stairs towards the stage with eyes just boring holes in me, sort of jealousy and hatred. Anyway, I jump up on the stage and the announcer says to me, so, Sophie, how do you feel about visiting the set of Doctor Who? And I said, oh, well, it's all right, I suppose. And I could feel this waves of hatred coming towards me. She's won and she doesn't even want to go there. And I said, you see, the thing is, I've already just been there for the last 4 weeks. And then Gordon announced me and said, ladies and gentlemen, the new Doctor Who companion, Sophie Aldred. And at that moment, I kid you not, this sea of bodies just ran towards the front of the stage. Cameras started flashing, lights going off everywhere, and I must have looked like a rabbit in the headlights. It was ridiculous.
And you still haven't washed your hair.
And I still haven't washed my hair. Yeah, it was lucky this is audio, I tell you.
If we could switch gears for a second from you as Sophie to your...
You as Sophie? You can't take her away from Sophie. She is from Ace.
Well, if we could switch from Sophie to Ace.
Hang on, I'll just get into character.
Right.
I'll pick up a can of Nitro 9 and then we'll be set.
Is this Actors Guild?
Okay.
I want to speak to Ace.
Actually, it's funny you should say that. You read my mind, because I did want to ask, what was the origin of that? The fact that she was always carrying cans of her homemade explosive. How did the writers come up with that?
I think it was probably Ian Briggs and Andrew Cartmel, the script editor, because they decided that she was going to be a sort of amateur scientist. There was a scene in Dragonfire where she talks about blowing herself up.
Blowing up the lab.
The lab, yeah, and the art room and things. So
the art room. That was the art room.
Yeah, we know that she's kind of a bit of a nutter when it comes to explosives. So the Nitro 9, I mean, was written into the script, and then the visual effects crew had the task of designing what Nitro 9 would look like. And they did a brilliant job with those canisters, because what those canisters actually were, you know, those UHT cream canisters? You can get cream in sort of squirty cans, and they scraped all the writing and the logos and everything was off, and they looked like that. And then there were some fancy ones that one of our visual effects guys, Mike Tucker, who became a very good friend of mine, he jazzed one up for Curse of Fenric with a sort of natty little gizmo on the top that sort of turned round a bit. But yes, it really was, the origin of that was in the script. It was there right from the beginning. And then, of course, that just kind of expanded as the series went on and the writers really got to grips with this explosive character.
Well, do you have any Nitro 9 on you right now? Be honest.
Not right now, although I have to say we moved house last year and I was going through some stuff and I did find a can of Nitro 9.
Wow.
So, yeah, I found all sorts of things, actually. My son was saying, you know, what's this? And I said, oh, that's just a grenade from the Curse of Fenric.
You didn't traumatize him at all.
No.
Oh, come on. He probably thought, Mummy's got explosives. Cool.
I just like the fact we can take out the cyber ship by getting a bunch of cans of Ready Whip.
Yes, exactly.
And here we thought gold was what took down the Cybermen.
One of the best parts about your character of Ace is that she is kind of a precursor of the companion on today's Doctor Who. You had an arc, you had a story, a backstory that developed over the course of your episodes. Because you watched the John Pertwee episodes with Joe Grant and Sarah Jane Smith, how did it feel being not just a cipher of a companion, but as a main character?
Oh, it was just amazing. I mean, you know, from the back row of the chorus in Fiddler on the Roof to be appearing on TV every week in this household show, this family show that we'd all grown up with. I mean, it was just an amazing thing for me. And what I loved as well was how welcoming everybody was, how helpful, you know, because I'd never done TV before. So it was just wonderful to meet these incredible actors who I was working with, who I had seen as I was growing up all these years, and learning from them. I mean, you know, I just learnt on the job. It was just amazing that I would watch everybody and their techniques and what they did. And I was also working as a children's TV presenter as well. I got that job not long after. And so I had these 3 whole years at the BBC of training, basically. That was my training. And it was just amazing to meet all these incredible people and to work with these incredibly talented crews as well. You know, the people who were behind the scenes, really, really a wealth of experience. I mean, our OB crew who were doing all our location filming, most of them had been working on Doctor Who since the Tom Baker years and before, you know, so they just had this massive wealth of knowledge and experience, and I was able to really learn from everybody around me. It was a gift, it really was.
Okay, simple question here. Daleks or Cybermen?
Oh, golly.
She's got a baseball bat. It's definitely Daleks.
That's an impossible question.
Definitely Daleks.
Well, I don't know. You say that, but you see, when I was growing up, I was terrified of the Cybermen, and it was the days of the kind of stocking mask with the mouth that opened and the voice that just comes out in that sort of horrible kind of monotone, which I found extremely scary. In fact, so much so that my mum stopped me watching Doctor Who for quite a while because I was getting nightmares. So it's not everybody who has their chance to have kind of therapy in later life and kill off literally the source of those nightmares. Plus the fact that our Cybermen actually were underneath those suits and helmets. They were actually male models. They had been selected from a modelling agency because obviously if you're going to be a Cyberman, you need to be over 6 foot tall and quite a strapping lad to fit into those costumes and to look the part, to look menacing and to look right. So they'd been cast from a modelling agency, as I say. So, of course, whenever they took their helmets off, they were very unthreatening and rather nice to look at. So it was a win-win for me.
You brought up some of classic Doctor Who before you had a chance to join that family. One of the things that was brought up was Sarah Jane Smith. A few years ago, Liz Sladen had her own spin-off with the Sarah Jane Adventures. And we know that Ace was kind of sort of mentioned. She said something about a Dorothy something running a charitable endeavor. The story goes that Ace was actually going to appear on the show had it continued, had Liz Sladen unfortunately not passed away. How far did that go? Was that just an idea, or did somebody have an actual story idea that they started to put down on paper? How far did that progress?
Well, the first I knew of it was when Benjamin Cook, who's a very good friend of Russell T Davies, he interviewed me for Doctor Who magazine. They hadn't done a sort of in-depth interview with me for quite a few years, and I was contacted by Doctor Who magazine, and Benjamin took me out for a very nice lunch at one of my favourite restaurants in London. And before we started, as he sat down, he said, "Oh, by the way, I just have to give you a message from Russell T Davies." Now, Russell is somebody who I really admire, and who, just as a little side story, when he brought Doctor Who back, I sent him a letter, and it was quite a special letter because it was written on a piece of paper from the production office. That I'd kept this piece of paper. I don't know why, it was just this sort of bit of memorabilia, and I'd always thought to myself, gosh, I wonder what I'll do with this piece of paper. Anyway, this seemed like the perfect thing to do. So I wrote him a letter on this piece of paper. It seemed like kind of continuity, from John Nathan Turner's office to Russell T Davies's office. And it just said, good luck with the show. I hope it goes really well. Behind it all the way, So anyway, I'd done that. So that was my only contact I'd ever had with Russell T Davies. Anyway, Benjamin said, I was just emailing him last night, and I was just saying I'm interviewing Sophie Aldred in the morning. And he said, please give her my regards and say thank you to her for her support of the new Doctor Who and, blah, blah, blah. And please tell her that the next companion from the classic series that we were going to have on the Sarah Jane Adventures was Ace, because obviously they'd had Joe Grant on, Katie Manning, and he said a very producery thing. He said the viewing figures always go up when we have an old companion on. So anyway, and then he said he'd got a few ideas, and an idea he had was that you'd see this sports car driving up to Sarah Jane's house, and you wouldn't see who was getting out, but you'd just see some sort of high heels and a kind of business suit from behind, walking up to Sarah Jane's door. And then you'd switch to Sarah Jane's POV as she opened the door, and there would be Ace.
I could see this.
But me
beautiful.
Now. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, older Ace in this smart business suit and high heels. And he said, but then don't worry, because soon she'd be running around beating up Daleks in her Doc Martens as business as usual. And yes, of course I regret, because I would love to finish off what happened with Ace. We don't know what happened to Ace. She ended up walking into some bushes with Sylvester at the end of Survival. But I think my biggest regret about it, obviously, is not getting to work with Liz, because I knew Liz personally for years. We first met each other at a signing in London. It was a party, actually, for a Doctor Who magazine, I think.
Oh.
And our eyes met across the crowded room, and we sort of fought our way through the crowd towards each other. And just as I was about to open my mouth, she said, "Oh, Sophie," she said, "it's so lovely to meet you." And I thought, oh my goodness, she knows who I am. She said, "I think you're doing a fabulous job with Ace." And I was really touched that she was actually watching the programme still. And I said, "Well, I think you're amazing. You were my companion." And ever since then, it had been this sort of mutual appreciation society where I used to ring her up when I had a query about anything to do with conventions or fees or anything like that. So I miss her enormously, and I would love to have worked with her. It would have been amazing.
Now, speaking of the future of Ace, there was another direction that was taken with Ace, and an episode of the online series which has scarred me for life, which is death comes to time.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, I am still scarred to this day that episode ever happened. There was the story of Ace becoming a Time Lord. Now, given the chance that the series had continued, would that have been the direction that you would want Ace to have? Or if you had say in it, what kind of direction would you have liked Ace to go?
Well, this had been an idea that was mooted by Andrew Cartmel for the series if we'd continued. And actually, to be honest, I really like that idea. I think it would be just so great for Ace to go to Gallifrey to train to be Time Lord or Lady. And she would really put the wind up the Time Lords, you know. Although somebody pointed out to me last week that actually if she had gone to Gallifrey, she'd been killed off in the Time War. So, you know, in fact, that's not so great.
Luckily, she stayed on Earth, according to Sarah J.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So there's still hope.
But in the Big Finish audios, in the New Adventures of Benny Summerfield, in that continuity, you were a Time Lord. You had stayed on Gallifrey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, the Gallifrey series as well now.
Yeah.
For Big Finish. What's brilliant is that there have been as many endings, new beginnings for Ace as the writer's imagination allows for. And I really love that. I love the fact that there is no one explanation, because it's like parallel universes, isn't it?
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
Just have walking around with multiple personalities.
Yeah.
I'm a Time Lord. No, I'm not. This Time Lord's died, so I want to stay on Earth and run an organization.
We could always pull the Earth 1, Earth 2 trick out of the hat.
Yeah,
Human Ace, Earth 1, Time Lord Ace, Earth 2.
There you go.
Again, it's wibbly wobbly.
We'll be back with more with Sophie Aldred here on Mark Who 42 on Krypton Radio in a moment. Attention all Whovians! While you're waiting for the new episode of Doctor Who, start your own adventures with a book from Mark Who 42 Books. They carry unique and rare books at affordable prices. Visit Amazon.com/shops/Mark Who 42. That's Amazon.com/shops/Mark Who 42. Mark Who 42 Books. Set your imagination free into the Whoniverse.
Hi there. I've just got to be a bit quiet for a minute because I've got this funny feeling. Oh, by the way, it's Sophie Aldred here. I played Ace in Doctor Who. And there's this guy called Mark, okay? And he's kind of following me around, and I'm kind of trying to hide from him, but I'm not sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm doing an interview for Mark Who 42. Yeah, guys, I don't know how this is going to go, okay? So help me out if I need it, all right? Okay, brilliant. Here we go.
Thanks for sticking with us. This is Mark Who 42 on Krypton Radio, and right now we're in the middle of interviewing Sophie Aldred, who played Ace on Doctor Who. What was your reaction when the show was canceled back in '89?
Oh, I was gutted. I mean, you know, it was not so much for the work. It was actually because it was such an enjoyable job to do. And it was very creative from all sorts of points of view, not just from the acting, but from the creative side, the technical side, the makeup and visual effects and the crews and the, you know, it was about the only show around at the time where people could really express themselves in a very different way. You know, obviously if you're doing a period drama, you have to wear the dresses and the clothes of the right period, whereas with Doctor Who, the designers could really let their imaginations rip and really get very creative with even the makeup, you know. So from all sorts of angles, it was upsetting.
Now, here's something. They had done in 1993 a two-parter in 3D called Dimensions in Time. And that was Doctor Who mashed up with my second favorite show, EastEnders.
Oh, wow.
And I want to talk about Dimensions in Time, but first I have to go back because earlier that year, back in February 2nd and 4th episode of EastEnders, you played a character named Susie.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little about that? Who did you get to work with?
Yeah, well, it was quite strange, actually, because having been a regular on Doctor Who for a while and, you know, coming out of that, and then suddenly to go and do a couple of episodes of EastEnders with regulars from another show was quite a strange experience. So, I mean, they were lovely, you know, really, really nice and very welcoming. And but, of course, it was just a totally different ballgame because you just turn up, you do your scenes, and you go away again. It's sort of much more just a job. And of course, I was on location as well, so I didn't get to go to Albert Square that time. But of course, I did for Dimensions in Time.
Yeah,
so, I had 2 helpings of EastEnders, really, which is great.
Sophie Aldred on both my favorite shows. It's great. About Dimensions in Time, how was it working with all? You got to meet all the and actually, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say you got to meet all the people who played the Doctor, all the actors, but you go to conventions, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the good thing is that we all know each other through conventions. And when I first got the part, somebody said to me, "Welcome to the family," and I used to think, "Oh, that's a bit lame," but actually, But actually, it's true. It is like a family. We're all very different, all the companions, all the doctors, but we all get along and we all really share and we all really enjoy seeing each other and enjoy each other's company. It is like a family. It's absolutely true. So, yeah, it's been an absolute joy to meet all the doctors, to do conventions with them. I was in Seattle a few weekends ago with Colin Baker and, of course, doing all these crossovers as well. So, yeah, you really get to know people when you're doing conventions and traveling around the world and stuff. It's great.
One of the great parts about Big Finish is it's never an end run for any of the doctors or any of the companions to continue to go on. And we actually had Lisa Bowerman on our 100th episode discussing about previous villain of Doctor Who coming back, which is Sutekh. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yes, it has come out, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was great because obviously, I always enjoy doing stories which I know are going to go down really well with the fans. And of course, Gabriel Wolfe we're lucky he's still around and he's still as imposing and as fabulous an actor as he always has been. So, yeah, that particular story was slightly marred by the fact that poor old Lisa had really got a very bad throat infection. So she lost her voice. And so we were doing the recording, we started off with her, bless her, and then we realised that actually she just wasn't going to be able to do it. So she ended up having another day on it to do her lines when her voice was better. I mean, this often does happen, but you get used to it. So we were kind of doing our lines in isolation in the end. But it was wonderful. I always like to revisit villains and stories that I know that the fans are going to really enjoy, and this was no exception.
How have you enjoyed working for Big Finish? I mean, you do a lot for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's great because the thing is that the people who are part of Big Finish now are people who we've known for years as fans. We've sort of all grown up together and there's a real sort of crossover now. I mean, for example, Nick Briggs, we've known him for years and interviewed by him for Doctor Who Appreciation Society and things. And now he is in the show, so it's just wonderful to have this kind of mashup of you can't tell where the fan ends and the professional begins, there's no difference.
What did you think about the Hex Hector ending?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's sad that it's an ending. I love working with Phil Olivier and we always have a good laugh. And, I thought that his character brought such a lot to the character of Ace, allowing Ace to be a bit older, a bit wiser, to be a sort of mentor character herself. So it gave me a lot different to do. But I think, Phil just handled it so brilliantly and he did such a great job. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, there may be some listeners who don't know what we're talking about. Hex was a companion of Sylvester's Doctor in the Big Finish audios that Ace had like a sisterly kind of relationship with, except that I think Hex wanted more.
Yes, there were times, I think, when he did, but she wasn't having any of it.
No, well, until the end. By the end, you were like, well, maybe she will.
Yes. Yeah.
Flashing forward, what do you think of the new series with Peter Capaldi, the direction that the series has taken with the Master in the female form? And all I could think about was, when I was thinking about this, if Ace became a Time Lord, would she have gone into the male counterpart?
Oh,
if she would have flipped over just to say, I'm going to just try this on for a moment.
That's true.
I'm Ace now.
Yeah.
What do you think about the new series and the direction it's taken?
Oh, I love it. And it's great because my boy boys are old enough now, so we sit down and watch it together as a family. And my youngest, who's 12, he loves Jenna-Coleman. You know, they've got all the right reactions to it. You know, it's a joy still.
Now, after Doctor Who ended, you actually did, before Big Finish, you actually did some audio dramas with BBV, Bill Baggs' company, under the umbrella title Audio Adventures in Time and Space. And you worked with Sylvester, which was great. And the characters were called the Professor and Ace. And this was you had no rights from the BBC on this. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the BBC cracked down, and so you changed your names, and Sylvester was now called the Domine, which, if I'm correct, is Gaelic for doctor.
Oh, really?
I think so. And you were Alice. And if you think about it, Alice is just Ace with a lie in it.
Yeah.
What was it like before Big Finish had you playing the real Ace? What was it like working with the Bill Baggs company? Because I've heard some good things and some bad things about Bill, and I'm just wondering how it went.
Well, Bill contacted me very soon after the show came off the air, and he asked me to be in some videos that he was recording with Colin Baker and Nicola, a series called The Stranger.
Yes.
And I thought, yeah, why not? And I met some lovely people. There was a really great bunch of people. Nigel Fares became a good friend. He's an actor and a very good writer as well. He works a lot with Louise Jameson, doing a lot of theatre 1- and 2-man shows with her. Yeah, and I just met a really lovely bunch of people. And it was a sort of natural segue from there, really, to doing the audios. And I thoroughly enjoyed working with Bill. And he didn't have any budget. He was relying on favours. He was sort of borrowing cameras from the BBC, and he just did a great job, because what he was doing was providing fans with new material and also giving people a lot of experience, giving writers, giving crew a lot of experience which they wouldn't otherwise have had. And he really paved the way for Big Finish. And it was just a bit of a shame that he is a bit of a maverick, or he was a bit of a maverick. And so he obviously didn't get the licence, and the BBC did crack down. And then it was Jason Hay-Ellery who went to the BBC and asked if he could have the licence, and they gave him that. But yeah, Bill was always a bit of a maverick, and Sylvester and I always thoroughly enjoyed working with him and had a great time.
Whose idea was the Ace specials? Because those photographs on the covers of the CDs, oh!
Yeah, I think it was Bill. And I mean, you know, those are the only risque photos that I've ever had taken of me, and all very innocent, you know. And
yes, they were.
And we just did them in the audio studio, and it was all totally Bill's idea. Yeah.
I would have had you do that too. I would have had you.
Thank you, Bill.
Maybe not for my private picture. Necessarily for everyone.
If I can quote Captain Jack, I can't tell you what I'm thinking right now. Yeah, actually, somebody sent me those photos. He goes, "Have you seen Sophie in these audio adventures?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean, seen in the audio adventures?" And send me the covers of The Other Side and The Left Hand of Darkness, and go, "Oh, okay."
Marketing genius, this Bill Baggs.
I saw those covers too, and I was like, "Wait, what? What is this? What?"
Well, I'm quite glad I did them now, because I couldn't do them now. So, you know, it's nice to have done something when I was young enough to do something like that. And let's face it,
Like,
it wasn't Katie Manning and a Dalek.
No, it wasn't. It was, but it was still still there for me. Now, besides acting, you've also written a little. You worked with Mike Tucker on the hardback reference book Ace, the Inside Story of the End of an Era. What's it like writing compared to acting?
Do you know, it's funny, because I know I can write, and I did a bit of writing for SFX magazine. I did some reviewing of movies and things like that. And in fact, I just did a little blog sort of piece yesterday on a convention I went to last weekend in Indianapolis for a Strangeness-in-Space website. But I have to say, I don't love it. You know, I know I can do it, but I don't love it and enjoy it as much as I do acting.
Also, I want to bring this up. You got to do a show that I enjoy watching, and don't ask me how I get to watch it. Pointless Celebrities.
Oh, yes.
I like Pointless, and Pointless Celebrities is always cool. And there was a Doctor Who edition, and you and Sylvester were partners.
Yes.
What's it like on that game show? I mean,
well, it's great fun. I mean, you're treated very well. It was lovely to be with Fraser and Bernard Cribbins. It is really good fun, but it is nerve-wracking.
Most game shows are, yeah.
Yeah, because you sort of think, oh, well, all your sort of brain patterns come up like, oh, I don't want to look stupid in front of other people, and, I want to make people laugh, but I don't want to, so it's very interesting what comes up for you in those sort of high pressure moments. I mean, it was great. And I always love being with Sylvester and working with him, whatever I'm doing. So, yeah, that was brilliant.
You have an upcoming adventure called Strangeness-in-Space. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I certainly can. Well, it all came about because Claire, who I was mentioning earlier, who I was at university with, we had a reunion for our Manchester University graduates of the drama department last year. And Simon and Claire and I went along. And the following day, after drink had been consumed, we sat in a cafe and Claire said to us, do you know what? Let's do something together. After all these years. Now, Simon and his working partner, Trev, used to be on Saturday morning kids' TV, sort of during the time that I was on Doctor Who. And they had a bit of a kind of cult following. They had a massive audience of kids, of parents, of students who would be just coming in on a Saturday morning after a party, of all sorts of people. And I loved their humour. I always did, right from when they were at university, where they used to do these sort of slightly surreal sketch shows, and I was only too pleased to work with them. I mean, how fantastic. So they came up with this idea of doing a science fiction audio drama, and Claire produced it because she's brilliant at that. And what we decided to do, rather than get it commissioned and go through a whole process, we decided that we were going to crowdfund because we wanted to have sort of control over the material and not be bound by other people's sort of opinions. And we wanted to get it out quickly as well. We wanted to do something that we could do relatively quickly. So we put it on Kickstarter, and within 2 weeks, we'd achieved our target, which was really wonderful, very surprising and nice. So we crowdfunded for the second episode as well, and I just literally listened to the almost final version of the first episode a couple of nights ago, and I'm really pleased with it. It's quite something. I mean, I think people who like Hitchhikers, Red Dwarf, Doctor Who, well, all sorts of similar things, they are going to love it. It's got a slightly surreal tone. Basically, the story goes like this. I play Sophie, surprisingly enough, who is the
stretch
manager.
On the roll there.
Yeah. It's tricky.
I don't know. I think she can handle
it. I play the manager of a gift shop to a space centre in Thurrock, which is a sort of slightly joke place in the UK. It's where there's a lot of big shopping centres and so on. And we, for reasons which you don't get explained yet, we'll probably go back at some point and explain why, get blasted into space in a sort of a spaceship that's not really working quite properly. And we're orbiting a planet called Mirth, and we have an onboard computer called Lemon, who's played by Barnaby Edwards, who does...
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
yes.
does lots of
we've
Daleks.
actually interviewed him.
Yeah, that's right. Who does a fantastic job, of course, like he always does with everything that he does. And adventures ensue, basically. And it's a comedy sci-fi audio, and it's going to be free to download from our website sometime coming soon, when our wonderful editor Dave Pulser has just putting the finishing touches to it. And we're just really curious to see now what other people think of it, and we're very happy with it. We think it's going to appeal to everybody from children right up to grandparents, and it's sort of family listening, so it'll be the kind of thing that will be perfect to listen to on a journey or before bed, for all the family really. I mean, I'm really now very excited about the response we're going to get, because I think it's really funny, and the people around us who've heard it think it's really funny, but it's now time to get it out there and test it.
Now, you said you've done a lot of children's television. as a presenter and voices. You were Dennis the Menace. In 2012, you started doing the voice of Tom in Tree Food Tom, and you got to work with David Tennant, who was playing Twigs. Now, I've seen the first 6 episodes of season 1 of Tree Fruit Tom, and it's cute. It's a nice children's show. Except in America, they take your voice out.
I know. How dare
that's
they?
a shame. I loved your voice as Tom, and they've got some guy playing Tom in the American version.
Oh, really?
I love your version of it much better.
Oh, thank you. That's nice of you to say. Yeah, well, you'll have to get the DVDs rather than watch the TV show. But yeah, it is a delightful show, and it's also a amazing show in that it was conceived by a really wonderful producer at the BBC called Daniel Bays, and he had this idea from reading a magazine article on dyspraxia. He didn't even know what dyspraxia was, and nor did I. I thought it was a version of dyslexia, but it's actually a movement and coordination issue, which a lot of people have. Anyway, he thought to himself, there must be some way that we could help these kids. He'd read an article about a mum and her child who'd been really kind of suffering from, they used to call it clumsy child syndrome, which is a horrible name, but it actually describes in a very short form what it is. And it's a neurological dysfunction where the brain doesn't connect with, so, you go to pick up a cup and you knock it over because your brain is not giving you the right information. And the Dyspraxia Association has found, or somebody found, I don't know who it was, that by a series of repetitive movements, people can improve their function, the neurological function. So the moves are incorporated into this show, and there's times during the show when my character says, come on, join in everybody, time for Tree Foo. And Tree Foo is this series of movements.
Those movements are so cool.
Yeah, and the kids love it. We see on YouTube parents posting little clips of their children joining in. Wow. And it's really popular, and it's just great to be doing a job which is actually also helping people,
Are they still making more of those?
Yeah, we're halfway through doing another season. I can't remember where we're up to now, but we have done loads of them.
I think season 4 was just played on.
Yes, I think this is season 5, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, we're at the part of the show where we give you, the guest, Sophie Aldred, who played Ace in Doctor Who, a chance to plug future projects.
Well, yeah, there's Tree Food Tom, another series coming up. I also do Peter Rabbit for the BBC, which is actually sort of tit for tat because I dub over an American actress.
Oh, well, there you go.
So there you go.
Good.
So I'm playing Mrs. Rabbit and Flopsy and Mopsy and Mrs. Bobtail in that. And then there's, of course, the biggest thing on the horizon for me at the moment is Strangeness-in-Space. And everybody go onto the website, which is www.strangeness-in-space.com, and have a look because there's some really cool stuff there already.
And episode 1 is there now.
You can kind of subscribe to various things if you want to. There's, for example, this thing called the wormhole, where you can kind of have content which, is updated regularly and nobody else gets to see that. That's just for the people who subscribe to the wormhole. There's fantastic merchandise. There's all sorts of stuff. And
I'm joining the wormhole right now, by the way.
Oh, cool. So, I really hope everybody enjoys it.
Also, I think people should, if they want to check out your web presence, they should go to sophiealdred.net.
Absolutely. I have to say that I'm woefully behind with my website, but it's a beautiful website. It's been designed by a friend of mine who's called Sue Cowley, and she's a brilliant designer, and she's kind of helping me out with it. And yeah, you can follow my Twitter and Facebook feed as well.
I like on the bottom of the footer of your website, Storyline and Content by Sophie Aldred and Ace McShane.
Yes, that's right.
And you've got artwork from Lee Sullivan, and it's like a comic book. It's great, yeah.
Yeah, I love the design.
Do we have any final questions for Sophie?
Yes, I have one.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any chance I could borrow that Nitro 9 you're not carrying?
I don't think it'll pass through customs, sadly.
What, we just tell them it's shaving cream?
Yes, that's a good idea.
The TSA will like that. Yeah, that'll happen.
Hold this for me for a moment there. Pull the lid. I just got to run. Well, Sophie, on behalf of all of us, and we want to personally thank Jade and Sean for bringing you on to the show there. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Wow, that was a great interview. I just love Sophie. I mean, when I was growing up, she was my favorite companion after Sarah Jane. But because Sarah Jane wasn't my age, she wasn't really girlfriend material. So Sophie was my girlfriend.
I still don't believe Sophie when she said she didn't have any Nitro 9. She had some. You know you did.
Some Nitro 9.
You know she did. You know she did.
It's always in a rucksack. It's always in there. So I hope you enjoyed this week's show, guys. Should we tell them about where they can find us?
Hopefully they know by now, but...
In my house, but I don't want anybody coming over.
Go to www.markhu42.net and join the Hooniverse Army. You can listen to our older shows at that site on iTunes. And please subscribe to our show. We really would like to get higher in the rankings there. Tweet us at markhu42. Go to our Facebook page, markhu42. You can also find us at floridageekscene.com and geekcastradio.com. Shout out to Geekcast Radio, because I was supposed to be doing that and I haven't been.
Geekcast Radio, the neglected child. You don't love me anymore!
And of course, Krypton Radio, our flagship station. Thank you very much. We are the #1 rated show on Krypton Radio at this point. Thank you for making it possible. I guess that's it, guys. Should we say goodbye?
I don't know. Should we?
I mean, we could talk for a couple more hours. I mean, maybe Krypton, because we're the #1 show, will let us run over the hour, or we could talk for 20. We could have 24 hours a day of Mark Who 42 on Krypton Radio. That'll get.
You could do that. I'm out.
Okay, if we're gonna do that, then you're supplying the coffee, Mark.
I will. I will supply the coffee. I'll mail you some coffee beans right now. No, we're gonna go.
Okay, just be careful if you bring them from Colombia, because you may have some stuff. You may have something. May have something that will keep me awake, but not what we're going for here.
As Nancy Reagan said, just say no to coffee.
Little Coffee Shop of Horrors is a fine friends of mine. They make geek-themed coffees that they will ground for you when they make appearances, and they may be a future sponsor of this and some other fine geek-tastic shows coming to a computer near you.
Oh yeah, give them a free plug. You can't even take a break for that. That's not even...
said future.
That's future, yeah. So long, everyone.
Mark Who 42 wants to give a special kudos to Jadaford Knight and Sean Levy for this episode.
Mark Who 42 was written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Patricia-Helm, Christian-basel, Patty-Hawkins, and Eduardo-m-Freyre, with Wink Taylor as the Doctor. This show was edited, produced, and directed by Mark Baumgarten. Please visit markhu42.net and register to join and be a part of the Hooniverse Army. We can be contacted by email at mark@markhu42.net with the subject line ? If you have worked on Doctor Who or are working on a project relating to Doctor Who and want to be on our radio show, please email our media relations director, Christian-basel, at markhu42media@yahoo.com. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten, 2015. You're listening to Krypton Radio.